Good evening, everybody. I'm going to call to order Woodstock's Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for September 17th, 2020, and I got 7:34 p.m. And we'll take a roll call, but I will go through the list for commissioners. If you can just say you're here, and I'll note it. Joe Adaletta.
Present.
Mark Blackmer.
Present.
Sid Blodgett. I don't see him on here. Okay. Gail Dickinson. No. Nancy Frazier.
Present.
Jeff Gordon. I'm present. Jeff Marcotte. He's present. David Morse.
Here.
Doug Porter.
Here.
Fred Rich.
Here.
Mr. Reinowitz.
Here.
And Tim Young told me he is unable to because he's still doing corn harvesting. So he's unable to make it back in time. I will note for the record we have a quorum. I am going to go through meeting rules and guide, and any of you who have heard me say this before know what I'm going to say, but I have to say it for each time. We're meeting in accordance with the Governor's Executive Order 7B, and we're meeting virtually by Zoom to follow the CDC social distancing guidelines to prevent the community spread of COVID-19, and also because of the rules that Town Hall has as opposed as regards to having in-person meetings at the Town Hall itself. Any of you who are on and unable to access the video, you can connect by phone, and the information on the agenda, which is on the town website, does contain that information to connect by phone if you are unable to connect by mobile. I will ask that that other than commissioners and staff, that everybody else put themselves on mute, or we otherwise will mute you so we don't have a lot of extraneous background sound during the meeting. This meeting is being recorded, so we want to make certain we can have a clear transcript of what's happening. If you want to see the live transcript, at the top left of the Zoom is a button that you can click that says Otter AI Live Notes, and you can feel free to do that. There is a chat function. However, I ask you do not use the chat function. Chat function is not for people to have sidebar conversations or conversations with commissioners or conversations with staff. We don't allow that during our in-person meetings, and we do not allow that during our virtual meetings. If there is a point in the agenda that we will take any type of citizen participation, we do ask that you speak only when recognized. We are trying to monitor the screen to see who is asking to speak. And so we just want to make certain we can capture everybody. So it may seem a little slow if we have any of that part of the meeting, but we're just trying to make certain we can see everybody and see where we stand with that. If you wanted to raise your hand, then you can also hit, if you're on the phone, *9, and that will work as well. Other than that, I will move forward with the agenda here. We do have designation of alternates, and let me just double check no other commissioner has joined. So I believe we are going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So actually it looks like we need 3 alternates if I'm correct. 1, 2. That's what it looks to be here. Let me just scroll again. 1, 5. Yep. I have 6 full commissioners listed here, I believe. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what it looks to be. So it looks like I can seat 3 alternates. I believe we have 3 alternates tonight. Am I correct?
If I may,
Yeah.
is there going to need to be any vote with regard to a presentation on the Woodstock Inn this evening?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Unfortunately, for that matter, I would need to recuse myself.
So I can still seat you for the meeting, and then I will note for the record for that agenda item, we will recuse you. We still will have enough to meet a quorum. Let me just make certain I have the math correctly here. I'm just trying to look up on the screen, and here I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. So I will seat Commissioners Porter, Frazier, and Reinowitz. Congratulations to all of you three. I will leave it up to all of you three how you will jointly hold a celebration party for us tomorrow in the usual fashion that the commission is accustomed to. So let me just note that for the record in my notes so we can keep track of that. That takes the chair's report. I have a couple of things to mention. One is if any of the commissioners have any problems during the meeting trying to connect in with video and audio, and when it comes time for a vote and we're unable to see you, especially hear you, we're not able to record then your voting. And in which case I have to mark down that due to technical difficulties, even though you're present, we're not able to record your vote. So if for some reason you are experiencing any problems where we can't see and hear you, or the reverse is true, let us know, because we do want to make certain if there's any technical issues, we can try to resolve them for you, especially as we're going through agenda items, just not at this meeting, but when we have to record votes. So, and I think all of you have my cell number, so for commissioners, so if you are encountering technical difficulty and we can't otherwise know it, you can always text me to notify me, unless you're able to use the chat function, and we can try to resolve it for you. Otherwise, my usual thank yous to commissioners for attending our meetings twice a month, and to staff for the work that's done. We certainly appreciate that. The other is, in case you haven't noticed, there was a nice job done updating and modernizing the town's website. It's very nice looking, very easy to navigate and to find things. And Crystal Adams, thank you very much for your work on that. I found it very enjoyable today with the website. And then the last is, I did reach out to all of you commissioners. I think it is important, and I've heard this from all the folks who have so far spoken with me on the commission, that we look to get back to our planning meetings. We used to have the first Thursday of the month as a planning meeting, not as a business meeting. And then things changed when we had to start meeting virtually, and we started using the first Thursday of the month to attend to some business. But I would like to see if we can get back to doing it. We do still have some work that we have on pause to look at some aspects of the regulations, and we were working through some of that. So I'm not necessarily advocating for us to do that starting in October, because that's just around the corner and we'll need a little bit of time to pick things back up and get certain documents out to all of you. But I think later on in the year, we certainly could start getting back to using those first Thursday of the months as our planning. We call them special meetings because we no longer have a subcommittee. But unless any commissioners have objections to that, I, for one, would think that would be very helpful for us to get back to doing that type of work. And we can do it as best as we can virtual. I'm not saying we're going to meet in person, but we would have meetings like we're having now. It would just be our special meeting that we devote towards, in a sense, our regulation review work. Unless there's any objection, I can work with Tina and Delia and see what we can do to get out to you some documents that we did have, I think, early in the year, and update everybody, and we can look at the calendar to see when we can start meeting that way again. So other than that, I have nothing else from chair's reports. We get to citizens' comments. This is for any comments from citizens not pertaining to any aspect of any agenda items. Okay, that takes us then to meeting minutes. We have meeting minutes from August 20th, 2020. What is the will of the commission as far as the meeting minutes?
I move we accept the minutes as presented.
And
David?
who's the second?
Second that, Ataletta.
So motion by Morse, seconded by Ataletta to approve the commission's August 20th, 2020 meeting minutes as presented. Is there any discussion or anybody have anything that they found that they feel needs to be changed? Hearing none, I'll go to a vote. I'll just go through the roll call here. Joe Ataletta,
Aye.
Mark Blackmer,
Aye.
Nancy Frazier,
Aye.
Jeff Gordon, aye. Jeff Marcotte. Are you muted, Jeff? I can't hear you. Okay, do you want to raise your hand if you're saying aye? Okay. Unless there's an objection, I believe that's an enthusiastic aye. David Morse,
Aye.
Doug Porter,
Aye.
Fred Rich,
Aye.
Dwight Reinowitz.
Aye.
Okay, I take that that passes. All right, let me go accordingly here. That takes us to agenda item 7A. This is a non-residential zoning permit. It's actually a modification of a prior approved non-residential zoning permit, the Inn at Woodstock Hill. I know we got some information in our packet. For those of you who weren't on the commission previously, back in 2012, there was an approval back then, and this is a modification of that approval. Tina, you reviewed this. Is there anything from your perspective as the zoning enforcement officer?
They had their original approval back in 2012. The use is the same from what the potential new owner is explaining. They would just like to move the building back 150 feet, but I do have to have them go before WPCA because the sewer line is back there. So they just wanted to come before you to make sure that this was possible before they go ahead and purchase the property.
And just so that you know, for a matter of process, we're not required to wait for the WPCA to make a decision. They have separate jurisdiction over the town's sewer line. And our review and decision is separate from that. Whatever they decide in that regard. The two are not linked as far as what we have. Is there anything else from your perspective, Tina?
We did receive the health department approval that would be posted online. It did not go in your packets. We didn't get it in time for the B51D. And so if you look online, you can see there are a couple of.
I know this was emailed out to everybody. It was
Yes.
something received last minute. It was posted on the town website in
Okay.
time to meet the executive order provisions. So that's why I then allowed it to come to us, since otherwise everything else was complete with this application. Is there any commissioner who did not receive it? You didn't, Joe?
I received the NDDH letter and just a quick sketch, but no other paperwork or documentation of an application or reapplication for the modification. I didn't get anything in the mail, but I did find the information on the website.
You didn't get your packet?
I did not.
Okay. Yes, everything that was in the packet on this agenda item is on the website.
It is the only thing that is applying to this, the NDDH letter and the sketch showing where the proposed new location is. Is that the extent of the paperwork?
Tina, I know there's copies of the prior zoning permit approval.
Oh, there is.
2012.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't see that. All right.
Yeah, and I think that should be up online, I thought. But there is all of that previously. that is, I asked that that be included so we
Good.
could see it,
Okay.
what the
Yes.
prior approval was, because this is a modification. So it should be up on the website on our planning and zoning page. I'm sorry you didn't get your meeting packet, Joe.
The other question I had relative to this is whether this is in the historic district, which I think it is, and if they have to weigh in for the new location. They probably weighed in to give a certificate of appropriateness back in 2012, where the barn was originally proposed. And I just don't know if they've been meeting yet to give their opinion on the appropriateness of the new location and whatever design is being planned for it.
Tina, do you know? I know we're not required to have to receive anything from them to make our decision, but I don't know if this has come yet before them or not.
They have not gone before the historic district that I'm aware of, but Heidi Bouchard is on the line. She's the applicant.
I'm going to hold for a second on her presenting,
All right. So
because we're still just.
my understanding is that they have not gone before the historic district. They wanted to make sure that they would have no issues with zoning.
Okay. Did you have any other questions, Joe?
I didn't realize we'd have a presentation, so I'll hold off on any of the questions until the presentation. Thank you.
All right. Anything else from your perspective, Tina, or you're all set?
I'm all set for now. Yes.
Okay, well, I will recognize the applicant.
But can I have a quick question?
Yes, David.
Dave Morse, Commissioner, how long is the permit good for once it's issued? I mean, this was issued 8 years ago.
Tina or
So the zoning permit doesn't expire.
Okay. And this is I mean, it's a totally different structure in a different place. Does it need a reapplication, or is that just be modified?
the
Well,
modification.
it's a smaller structure. They're looking to make something smaller. So
In a different spot. I just didn't know what
But they're coming back. They're changing their permit.
Right, so it's an approved permit from 2012, David, so it falls under calling it a modification of a non-residential zoning permit. So the
Okay.
original permit is being asked to be modified, not a whole brand new permit that nothing ever was approved before. So technically it's a modification of their prior approval.
Okay, so it's just like a new permit then.
In a sense, but we label it modification to reference the fact that there's already an approved permit.
Okay,
It's following the same process anyway,
okay.
but we just have to make certain we note its modification. Delia?
Just wanted to add that I think if you issued a separate permit, they would have two permits and they could build both buildings. I think if they modify their permit, they're changing where they want to build the building. So I
Okay.
think it's making a change to the last permit, so then you're not having two permits for large buildings for that purpose.
Correct. Yep. Doug?
Yeah, I just want to ask the commission to see if there's any conflict of interest here. I have no involvement in the current application, and I don't think I had any involvement in the 2012 application. But we do, our plumbing and heating division do work for the inn. We make sure their air conditioners work and their heating systems work. If anyone feels that's a conflict, I'll recuse myself, but I'll leave it to the commission.
As chair, I don't view that as a conflict. Unless there's
I
any.
just like to make sure people are aware of, the potential, and if anyone objects, that's fine.
Unless anybody objects to my ruling as chair, that I don't think that rises to a level of a formal conflict.
I don't think that's a form of conflict. It's a new owner.
But no objection.
All right, so then we'll go accordingly.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing it up, Doug, for transparency. If there's nothing else at this point, then I'll recognize the applicant. If you can just state your first and last name for the record. Thank you for being here tonight and working with us as a commission.
Heidi Bouchard.
Yes. Is there anything you wish to discuss with us? You're not required to.
Well, I didn't really think about making a presentation. I just did the little narrative that you all got in your package, but we just wanted to say that we're thrilled about coming to Woodstock and hopefully taking over the inn and ushering it into its next chapter in Woodstock. We just needed to know that at least we felt that it was going to be a distinct possibility to have this barn put up, which is really important in our business plan, which is a little different than what the inn does now. Bless you.
Thank you. Sorry about
So
that.
I think I don't really have to say much more, but
Okay. Well, thank you.
thank you.
I'll open it up to the commission. Does the commission have any further questions or comments, or what's the will of the commission? If there's no more questions or comments,
Well, is there an application before us? It sounded like the applicant was just trying to get a sense of whether the zoning commission would be comfortable with the plan while they pursue NDDH and WPCA and historic district.
my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Tina, is that there's a formal application.
The package does not have the formal application in here. I was just looking for that here.
So is there a?
Heidi, did you, because it's a modification of what's already there.
But is there an application fee paid?
There is an application fee paid. Yes, there is. But I was just looking for the original application here. Heidi, did you?
I didn't fill out a new one. I gave you what you had asked for, a narrative about it and the new location, but I thought because it was a modification, I'm not exactly sure what I maybe should have done differently.
Right, I don't have like a separate application for it, if that's what you're asking. She did pay the fee, and I do have the letter and a site plan location of the new location, but I don't have an actual application, like
Okay,
a new zoning app.
so I'll leave it up to the commission as far as how we wish to proceed. The fee's been paid, and it's technically an application to modify the prior approved permit. So this is not a preliminary discussion. This would actually, as an application, would require a vote. But I'll defer to the commission what we wish to do as far as if we don't have an actual application sheet for this current one. Joe?
Well, I'm comfortable proceeding with approving the request. I would like to ask that maybe an application form or modification form with today's date be added to the file. So in the future, if somebody's looking through this, there's a little bit more formal documentation in the file for people to tie all the memos and notes together for what we're doing.
So basically what you're saying is that if we approve this, it has to be contingent upon that Tina receives the modification application and it's in the file.
Which yes, that's correct. And I expect that's not a significant document to prepare.
Okay.
Just the standard zoning application you're looking for, and right? I mean, we don't have a specific form for that.
Yes, well, it's the non-residential zoning permit, and you can just, people tend to write modification on it.
Okay,
Same application.
that's not a problem.
Okay. So I think that's very reasonable to.
Excuse me, is it,
Who
Commissioner?
David.
David,
Yes.
possible to get a better map of where the new location is? I mean, it's kind of just like a square of stick-on paper on a map, on a sheet.
We do have an A2 survey in the file. We just
Okay,
have her.
okay, no, that's fine, as long as there's something on file. I mean, what we got was just kind of
Right.
a little green square stuck on a piece of paper where the new barn is. So I'm fine with it. I just wanted to make sure there was something more detailed somewhere that we could look, that is available.
Well, we don't have a site plan yet.
Wait a minute. If you can just hold for a second, Heidi. I just want to ask Tina, you have something more in file, Tina?
From the previous approval.
Okay, from the
So
previous.
if they want to modify and they want it
Okay.
put it 150 feet back, it still has to go to, WPCA. So we still have to have more documentation.
Okay.
I mean, I have the previous site plan, so
Well, what David is getting at, that we would need something to show exactly where this barn is going other than just the green square.
'cause
Okay.
she used the site plan I have in the file, I think, and she just
Okay.
put the green square on there to give you an idea of where they would like to put it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Actually, I don't think we have authority over where they place the building anyway.
Well, as long as it meets the setbacks, which it does.
Yeah. If
Right.
it meets the setbacks, I don't think we can decide where the building goes.
No, we're
So-
just going to approve the modification. But if that answers your question, David.
Yes, it does. I kind of answered my own question there,
Okay.
talking it through, so.
All right.
So I'll make a motion, Jeff, to approve the modification to the application.
And did you want to include in that we have to receive the application form that's completed and so it can go into the file? As
Yes,
part of that
yes.
motion?
Right.
I'll second that. David
Okay.
Morse.
So seconded by motion by Adaletta, seconded by Morse, to approve the application as presented by the Inn at Woodstock Hill for the modification of a non-residential zoning permit, contingent upon the fact that we need to receive a application form that's completed and put into the file. Is there any
Okay.
discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll go through the roll call then. Joe Adaletta.
Yes, and I just want to make sure this is not a precedent-setting thing for an incomplete application. And I'm considering it complete because there was a previous application form, and the modification has documentation on file that can justify it as not being a precedent-setting incomplete application acceptance.
No, and I agree with you. I thought that there was an application form. So that's why I was fine putting it on the agenda. But I think that is an important point. We do want to make certain we get complete applications.
Right.
So I agree with you as far as not having this precedent setting. So, I'm sorry, Joe, you said, did you vote?
I did say aye, yes.
Mark Blackmer,
Aye.
Nancy Frazier. Oh, no, you're recused, so we're going to list you as recused. Jeff Gordon, aye. Jeff Marcotte.
Aye.
David Morse.
Aye.
Doug Porter.
Aye.
Fred Rich.
Aye.
Dwight Reinowitz.
Maybe.
Aye.
Was it?
What?
Did you say aye, Dwight?
Yes, aye.
Oh, because I heard someone say maybe. Okay. So Dwight Reinowitz. So that passes unanimously, and we'll note that Nancy was recused for the vote. The next item is agenda item 8A. We were to have a public hearing continuation tonight, but we are not going to have the public hearing tonight. We did receive a request from the applicant or the applicant's representative. This was an email September 8th. And I believe that's in the meeting packet. This is relative to number SP 640-04-24. This is the Woodstock Country Store. This is a special permit modification for a proposed change in the store, the gas station with an apartment below. The request that we got, and we've received it in writing, is that they requested to continue the public hearing to the commission's October 1st meeting. I just want to note for the record, looking at my files, that there's still remaining time per general statute for us to extend a public hearing. But we got to be mindful whenever we do it based upon statute, that's also time that gets taken away from what we can do to extend our post-public hearing deliberations. However, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rich Roberts, because the governor's executive orders have now been extended, I think an additional 6 months, the additional time that we're allowed to further continue public hearings and or continue post-public hearing deliberations still remains available to us. Is that correct, Rich?
Yeah, actually, the specific executive orders were only extended to November 9th.
November 9th, okay.
The state of emergency was extended to February, but the, 7I-19, which is the one that gives you the extra time, that was only extended through November 9th.
Okay,
The theory is that between now and then, they will go through all the executive orders and figure out which ones are worth continuing. But I have a strong suspicion that that will be one of the ones that continues.
okay. So right now we do have, based upon our statutory ability to extend, we actually have, I think we have 65 days remaining as far as what we can do with a public hearing and or after a public hearing. And we technically, out of the 90 days initially granted by the executive order, have only used 20 of those. So I don't think it really matters which one right now we use from whichever bucket of time we have, because there's still a lot more time that we would still have remaining for that. But we have received the request, so the only action for the commission tonight would be to decide about granting the continuation of the public hearing, if we wish, then to the October 1st meeting. Joe?
Jeff, just questioning if the applicant has been submitting any additional information as to why the request for extensions, which are fine with me, but just curious if the applicant is describing their reasons for requesting the extensions?
Delia, did you want to answer that as far as, I know you've been reviewing this, I think it was because they needed more time to put some things together?
I think it had to do with needing more time to get an approval from the health department.
Correct.
Okay. Well, I was hoping they were already taking some of the comments during the original public hearing to heart and maybe looking at modifying plans for reducing the number of pumps and the lighting, but we'll hear about that in October. So I'd make a motion to allow the extension to October 1st to extend the public hearing.
And if I don't mind, would you be okay that we normally list the time as 7:45 p.m.?
That's fine with me, Jeff. Thank you.
Is there a second?
I would second that, Jeff. Dwight Reinowitz.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Jeff, which day was that?
The motion that's made by Joe Adeletter and seconded by Dwight Reinowitz is to continue the public hearing to the commission's October 1st meeting. I believe that's the first Thursday at 7:45 p.m. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, I'll go through the vote roll. Joe Adeletter.
Aye.
Mark Blackmer.
Jeff, I wasn't present for the beginning of that hearing, so I don't know, am I recused from this vote? Or?
No, you wouldn't necessarily be to vote on this.
Then it's an aye for me.
Nancy Frazier.
Aye.
Jeff Gordon, aye. Jeff Marcotte.
Aye.
David Morris.
Aye.
Doug Porter.
Aye.
Fred Rich.
Aye.
And Dwight Reinowitz.
Aye.
That so passes. And if the applicant or the applicant's representative are not on the meeting tonight, then Delia, you'll notify them, or
Yes.
and we'll go accordingly. Okay. That takes us to agenda item 9. I don't have anything new to give any update relative to the ZEO office, unless there's anything from your perspective, Tina. Otherwise, we have, was there any list of, I think, let me take a look. Were there anything relative to permits?
It's been a busy couple of months. We have, through August, I had 12 permits. And I will email out the report. I just wasn't done with it. 12 permits in August, and then 8, so far in September, and I have 7 pending on my desk. A lot of new home construction. It's been very, very busy. I am working on some complaints. I don't know if you want me to go through some of them, Jeff?
Yeah, the enforcement. So you'll send us out a whatever report. So
Would you rather I put it in writing than do it
as you normally do, that's how we get that list. So if you just email it out to all the commissioners, and that way then we'll we will have it, and then it can always be we can always deal with that. Although we have a meeting next week, so we can either email to everybody or just put it in the meeting packets.
Okay.
Whichever way works to get it to everybody.
Okay, good.
But yes, you have some enforcement items you wanted to let us know about?
Yes, I did receive an affidavit of residency from the owners of Buck's Ice Cream. We were waiting for that. And I know the neighbors had complained that none of the owners were living in the home. So I think that's resolved. I do have that on file and notarized that Melinda, one of the owners, does reside there. So that is one thing we can put to rest. I do have still the one ongoing item. I wrote it here. Oh, 14 Shore Road. We have an ongoing cleanup of that site that we visited last week. I have Yankee Sales. Apparently, I had a complaint that the light has been on still, the illuminated sign. So they had told me that they were going to take care of that, but I was told that that did not happen. So I have to reach back out to them or send them a letter. I went out to a site today that there was an addition without any permit. So the building inspector and I were out there today closing that job, and it's just been pretty busy. So those are just the top few things that have been on my list.
Does anybody, any commissioners have any questions about Tina's report? Joe?
Just want to see if there's any follow-up or information about the news about a gun range discussion going on.
Yes.
Yeah.
I received so many emails and text messages from people wanting to know why we approved a gun range.
Yeah.
But yes, Tina, did you want to speak to that? Because I know I talked with you about it when we started to receive a bunch of queries from people who saw the ad in the paper.
Yes, the owner of the property has asked for the full application package to apply for a special permit for this type of use. Apparently, he does plan on moving forward with this application. So I do have to email that out to him. I did tell him, obviously, that he doesn't have any approvals. He probably should not have put that in the paper, but that's another story. It got a lot of people upset. So he is well aware that he does not have any approval for that. The first selectman was with me, and we both called him on a conference call to make sure he was aware.
It certainly generated a lot of activity.
Yes, it did. Is there any information, perhaps either Delia or Tina could help the commission to know if there are other agencies that have to provide approval for this type of facility outside of the town's special permit process? Does the
I could look into
State
it.
Department of Safety have to do something, or?
I don't have all the facts on exactly, but I would imagine for something to this scale, what he was referring to is going to need some additional approvals.
Yeah, it seemed like the state troopers, when they wanted to put a gun range in this eastern Connecticut, it was taking quite a bit of activity and approval process. So just
Right.
Curious if a private one is a little different.
My understanding is the state does have to weigh in and grant certain permits for gun ranges, I believe, separate from when the state does it for its own purpose.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with the details, but maybe, I don't know, Attorney Roberts, do you know anything more about what the state or other agencies that have to weigh in as with regards to private gun ranges that are going to be a business?
I think it's the state and it may also be ATF. I'm not positive.
Okay.
Any other questions relative to Tina's reports? Okay. We have our budget review. We have the paperwork before us. Unless anybody has any questions, we continue to get that every month so we can review our budget and where we stand with expenses. We do have a note of some bills, but none of them require commission approval. All of these have been, my understanding is, have been reviewed and are fine and have been taken care of, unless anybody has any questions. With that, I don't believe we have any correspondence that I see in our packet. So I don't think we received anything, just general correspondence, not anything pertaining to the public hearings, but just other correspondence. I don't think there was anything, right, Tina?
No.
Okay. Otherwise, we have nothing else. And that takes us then to Fred Rich's moment to shine, if he wishes to.
Mr. Chairman, I move,
12.
What? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm just saying that's agenda item 12. You were making a motion to
Okay.
adjourn?
Move adjourn.
Does someone wish to second?
I'll second that. Dave Morse.
So motion by Rich, Commissioner Rich, seconded by Commissioner Morse to adjourn the meeting. I'm going to go through the roll. Just be mindful, if you say no, you could endure the wrath of Fred. Joe Adaletta.
Aye.
Mark Blackmer.
Aye.
Nancy Frazier.
Aye.
Jeff Gordon. Aye. Jeff Marcotte.
Aye.
David Morse.
Aye.
Doug Porter.
Aye.
Fred Rich.
Aye.
And Dwight Reinowitz.
Aye.
I take that passes unanimously. I have 8:16 p.m. I want to thank everybody for attending the meeting. We will catch you next week at our special meeting, and that special meeting is about the continuation of the public hearing for the Rusty Relic permit. So I believe meeting packets are going to be going out, unless they've already gone out. I don't remember if they have or haven't already.
Yours is outside on the bench and the other ones are going out first thing in the morning.
Well, I will swing by town hall on my way to work and pick it up.
On that, Jeff,
So we'll catch you next week.
I've been recusing myself from those meetings. Do I need to attend that meeting next week?
If you're recusing, you can attend, but you'll be
That's
recused.
the only thing on the agenda, right?
That is the only thing. Unless you want to be there to see Fred make another motion to adjourn.
Well,
Good night.
I might look in, but I'm not gonna. I can't be involved. So
Right, so you're not, it wouldn't make any sense. I mean, I wouldn't seat you anyway, but you're, of course, welcome to attend. I'll just note it, as I've noted before, that you're going to be recused. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your help, Crystal.